Hello. So, what I wanted to show you guys is kind of how to write a literature review. Well, kind of. I'm not, I expect many of you may already know how to do this. So, if whatever it is that I'm saying here is something that you've already known, you could just use this as a refresher knowledge. And if this is something that is kind of new to you, you can just use that as a guide when you are writing your papers or your reports and stuff like that. Because I just wanted to put you guys through it so that it's kind of easier to know what it is that I'm expecting and how it's going to be done. That said, I usually have to let students know that it takes time and experience and a lot of practice to get to the point where you can write in the manner that publishers and authors write. So, and if you just straight off writing, you're going to have to kind of need some kind of help, and also usually you may want to look for a paper that is close to what it is that you're writing about, and kind of in a way model what it is that they're saying, and their citation may be different from yours, so I'm not saying you should copy their citation. I'm just saying that if you see the way that sentences are structured and informations are kind of put out, you could just use that as a guide for how it is that you're going to write. So always, first things first, see if you can find a paper that is close to what it is that you're going to be writing about, and then try to see how much of the style that you can adopt. That said, this is a literature review that I'm going to kind of walk you through. So this is a paper that was written on the attitude and behavior of healthcare professionals exacerbate healthcare disparities among immigrants and minority groups. So this is a literature review, and much of what you'll be doing when you are, doing the research, like searching for journals and doing your journal review, is that you're going to be looking at the background or the introduction, and then you will also come down and look at the discussion. So much of the information that you're going to be needing for your literature review is going to be coming from the background and the discussion. Some of the times you may find some information that is relevant in the results, but usually results can be a bit technical, and so sometimes you may not find a lot of very useful results, for whatever your purpose is. But not to say that you should discount it. You could still read it and see if there are good information that you can pick from there. But usually, you want to go to the introduction and the discussion. This paper, I can see, does not appear to have had a discussion. From what I can see, what it did, it was it had a methodology, and then it started discussing what it is that it's doing. And from what of things that it's discussing, a lot of them, looks like the kind of things that you will see in a discussion rather than what you will see in the results. But that's, the way that they kind of planned it. So that's why I said that even you may just take a look at the results. There may be very key information there, but normally you go to introduction or the background, and then you go to the discussion. You can see this is a discussion up at the point the discussion started, and then it has the introduction. The reason why I say so is because it is in the introduction and in the discussion that a lot of literature review has been done, in the sense that the author went out and read a lot of other papers and is using the information that was gathered from all those other papers to write up the introduction and the discussion. So that's why I say, when you're doing your paper review, you should always, go through the introduction and then go through the discussion at the very minimum. So, to start introduction, so one of the things to bear in mind is that when you're writing academically, you're kind of your approach to it will be the way that you would approach how a news anchor is reporting news. They kind of do not insert themselves into that narrative. They are kind of I'm trying to look for an example. In creative writing, we kind of call it omnipotent approach, in the sense that you kind of take yourself out of it, and you're just kind of looking down and reporting everything that you're seeing. You're not in that narrative. You kind of take yourself out of it and just report. So your personal opinions, your personal emotions, or whatever it is, does not get factored into the writing. You have to kind of take hold of those out and just report what it is that you have seen in the papers that you looked at, which is essentially what all of that writing is. And also, it means that when you are writing it, you're kind of writing it in a sort of close to a third person narrative, sort of. Or let me show you an example. So the first sentence here says, even though there is considerable evidence that ethnic minority populations differ from ethnic majority populations regarding access to healthcare, health outcomes, and mortality in many countries, the potential influence of healthcare professionals on such disparity is until now only partly explained. Now you can see what's going on here. They have used an approach to say only partly explained. So it's there is the author, the person who is not in that sentence. So it's not saying it's what I think, or what, that sort of thing. So the person is not there. It's just saying it's been, only partially explains. So that is the kind of lingo that you're going to be striving for. Saying, only partly explained, partially explained, or has been studied, all that sort of thing. So you kind of a little bit of divorce out of it. And then it says, the next sentence says, compared to members of the majority society, ethnic minorities face more barriers to accessing healthcare services, including lower rates of health insurance, lower rate of having regular doctor, and lower uses of healthcare. Another sentence is kind of taking yourself out of it, and it's just reporting whatever it is that is put. And now you would notice that this information has been cited. So this is an information that this person is not coming out of their head. This is an information that has been not proven, that has been found in other studies. So this person is just reporting whatever it is that has been found. So you want to kind of cite those information that you're saying, this is what has been known. Otherwise, if you do not cite it, it brings up the question, so how do you know this? Because you don't kind of, your knowledge didn't come from the air. It came from somewhere. So where is that information? Typically, sentences like this can be cited as well. Usually it is, but depending on the way, it may not be, it will not be deemed for not citing it, because what's it called, the subsequent information is kind of will be supporting whatever it is that has been said here. It's talked about only partially explained, and then it went on to talk about some of those differences that's happening between the ethnic minority population versus ethnic majority population. So it's kind of talked about it after saying how it is partly explained. The next sentence is now kind of explaining it now using data. So the data now has to be cited. And now it says it's also well examined that some ethnic minority experience worse health problems compared to majority population. Again, you can see it is being cited. This is an information that has to be cited, because that information is not coming from you. Actually, as a scholar, you and your who is doing literature review, we are not expecting the information to be coming from you. You're expected to be referencing other information that has come from other authors, because that's the whole essence of literature review. So you want to kind of do that. Now here is the thing I always let people know. So it says it is also well examined. So words such as this, well examined, partly explained, has been shown, has been studied. Those are not definitive terms in the sense of they are not stating facts. The reason is because in science, we kind of believe that there's still a lot to know, like what you know today, tomorrow might change. So we kind of try to run away from using definitive or factual words. That's kind of putting a full stop on something. So you kind of want to leave a room to say that more needs to be done to understand this better. So you want to kind of run away from terms that's kind of trying to say this is fact, this is the final word has been on it, because we kind of try to avoid that in science, because we kind of leave in room that more could be known, and what we know today may become obsolete by tomorrow when more things have been studied on it. So those are the kind of things to watch out for. And then the next sentence says, under some circumstances, ethnic minorities are at a higher risk of infectious diseases like tuberculosis, HIV, and stuff. Again, citation, or higher premature deaths, and also citation as well. So you can see there's a lot of citation that is being done in this. That is the regular practice when it comes to writing. So one thing that you will see is that a lot of the citation is happening after the sentence has been written. So, it's written in such a, okay, this is what is known, or under some circumstances. So, but however, there are sometimes I see, and I have done this before, when authors are writing and they're trying to cite another author, they kind of write it in terms of, I'm trying to see if I can find a similar style with that. If I can find that, okay. I didn't find it in this paper, but in some papers you would see, you see this place. We further let's see. I'm trying to see if I can find an example. Okay, so you see, this is this author. Not too sure I know how to pronounce this author. The name, the surname. Okay, so instead of saying one possible explanation for this mixed, and this is the sentence that I'm looking at here, one further explanation for these mixed results is, in the implicit biases, you could now say one explanation provided by, sorry, one possible explanation provided by, you now put the name of the author, is that, you can go on, to say that instead of just saying one possible explanation. So there are different ways you may want to do that if you're trying to mix up the way that your sentences are going. So basically, that is the long and short of it. Just to be mindful of three things. Number one, just report. Do not, remember to take yourself out of the narrative. Number two is do not use definitive terms or factual terms. Always use terms that is kind of leaving room for further further learning, further understanding, further new information to it. The third is always cite your sources. It's very, very important. You are not expected that this thing came from your head. Like I said, other people have written about it, and you got that information from the things that they wrote about it, so you need to cite it. Now, you may notice this one says we further searched for results also in non-US context. So this is now, they've kind of brought themselves in now, because they're kind of narrating, they're kind of relating what it is that they have done. So the information that came from the literature that they read through, research, and trying to connect it with what they are now doing. Where it says we now further search, you could say, depending on it, sometimes you have to make a judgment call based on whether there's a need to talk about it. Depends on the kind of paper that you're writing. Some papers do not require you to have done anything. All you're really doing is just reporting what it is that you've you found. But in this paper, it's going to be different because this is a study whereby they actually did a research method and actually conducted a study, a research beyond just doing the literature review. So now they're going to segue from the parts where they did the literature review, the information that came from the different authors, to the part where, okay, this is where we're now coming and we're talking about it. And you can notice that this also included the research question that they use for this. So it's always good to bring in the research question because that helps whoever to understand what it is, what is that you set out to find, and what did you find out of that. So I hope this has been useful to you. Okay, like I said, always look for a sample paper that is close to what it is that you're writing about and try to, mirror the kind of their sentence structures. Not d- Different papers have different citation styles, so do not follow their citation style in the sense that this one has the surnames, a thousand, and the name, the publication years. Some papers will just have one, two, and stuff. It doesn't have those. So different papers have different citation style that was used. So when I say look for sample paper, I mean papers that are talking that is close to around the topic you're going to be writing about, so that at least you can see how they report what it is that they're reporting, and you can then use that, to work your muscle when it comes to writing literature, writing academically, and then you use that to kind of with time. You kind of get into it, and you don't need to use sample papers all the time because you've kind of developed that muscle, and then you can just go on. So I hope this is helpful to you, and to have a lovely day. Bye.